Deciduous trees. Walk through almost any forest in the northeastern United States or Central Europe in October, and you will see them putting on their annual farewell, leaves turning gold, amber, and deep red before letting go entirely. What looks like a slow death is actually one of nature's more elegant survival strategies. As temperatures fall and daylight shortens, these trees pull nutrients back from their leaves to store in their roots and branches, sacrificing the foliage to reduce water loss through the long, frozen months ahead. Come spring, they start over. Oaks, maples, elms, and beeches all follow this rhythm and have done so for millions of years. Evergreen trees. Where deciduous trees make a dramatic seasonal exit, evergreens simply stay. They shed leaves too, just quietly, a few at a time, all year round, so the tree always appears full and green no matter the season. In colder climates, this gives them a real edge. Rather than spending precious energy regrowing an entire canopy each spring, they keep what they already have. In tropical regions, the logic is different. The climate never demands a full leaf drop, so many trees there simply never evolved the habit. Holly, live oak, and most tropical forest trees all belong to this quiet, persistent group. Flowering trees. Most trees produce some kind of flower, but certain species make it their most defining feature. Cherry blossoms, magnolias, jacarandas, and dogwoods are not just pretty, they announce themselves. They bloom in early spring, often before a single leaf has appeared, turning bare branches into something almost theatrical. In Japan, the cherry blossom has been celebrated for over 1,000 years. The annual bloom, called hanami, draws millions of people to parks and riverbanks each spring for picnics beneath the trees, a tradition rooted in the idea that beauty is more precious because it does not last. Beyond the cultural meaning, flowering trees are vital to pollinators and serve as an important early-season food source for bees and birds. Coniferous trees. These are the ancient ones. Conifers appeared on Earth long before flowering plants existed, and they have been shaping landscapes ever since. What sets them apart most visibly is their foliage, thin, waxy needles or tight overlapping scales instead of broad leaves, and their seed-bearing cones, which replace the flowers and fruits found on more modern tree groups. Most conifers are evergreen, which is why the two categories often get confused, but there are exceptions. The larch sheds its needles every autumn, just like a deciduous tree. Pines, spruces, firs, and cedars dominate the vast cold climate forests stretching across Russia, Canada, and Scandinavia, and their timber remains one of the most widely used building materials in the world. Broadleaf trees. The name says it all. Wide, flat leaves rather than the narrow needles of conifers. But beyond that shared characteristic, this group is remarkably diverse. It includes the towering beech forests of Western Europe, the vast tropical hardwood trees of the Amazon, the shade trees lining city streets, and everything in between. Most broadleaf trees are also flowering plants, producing seeds enclosed within some kind of fruit, pod, or casing. Their complex, layered structure, thick canopies, broad trunks, seasonal leaf litter, creates rich habitats that tend to support far greater biodiversity than conifer forests. They are, in many ways, the ecological backbone of the temperate world. Fruit trees. Humans and fruit trees have been in a long, productive relationship for thousands of years. We spread them, tend them, and protect them, and in return, they feed us. Apple, pear, mango, citrus, and cherry trees are among the most widely cultivated plants on Earth, but the varieties grown today bear little resemblance to their wild ancestors. Ancient farmers spent generations selecting the plants that produced the largest, sweetest fruit, slowly transforming scrubby wild species into the productive trees we rely on now. Most commercial fruit trees today are not even grown from seed, they are grafted, meaning a cutting from a known high-quality tree is fused onto an established root system to guarantee consistent results. Nut trees. Nuts do not ripen quickly, and neither do the trees that produce them. Walnut, chestnut, hazelnut, pecan, and almond trees are all slow growers, often taking a decade or more before they begin producing meaningful harvests. What they lack in speed, they make up for in longevity. Many nut trees live for centuries and continue bearing fruit well into old age. Long before agriculture as we know it existed, nut trees were a critical food source. Oak acorns sustained indigenous communities across North America for thousands of years, ground into flour and used in bread, porridge, and stews. The caloric density of nuts made them an ideal food for people who could not always predict when the next meal might come. Palm trees. Palms occupy a strange middle ground in the plant world. They look like trees, grow as tall as trees, and are called trees, but structurally they are closer to oversized grasses than to oaks or pines. They grow from a single point at the very top of their trunk, and if that growing tip is damaged, the whole tree is finished. Despite this vulnerability, palms have been indispensable to human life in tropical regions for millennia. The coconut palm alone provides food, fresh water, oil, rope, thatch, and timber to coastal communities stretching from the Pacific Islands to East Africa. The date palm fed desert civilizations long before recorded history and still appears in some of the world's oldest written texts. Mangrove trees. Most trees would not last a week in salt water. Mangroves have spent millions of years figuring out how. Growing along tropical coastlines and river deltas, they have evolved extraordinary root systems, dense, arching tangles that anchor the tree in soft, shifting sediment and filter out much of the salt from the water they absorb. Those roots also create something invaluable, a protected underwater labyrinth that serves as a nursery for fish, crabs, shrimp, and dozens of other marine species. Above water, mangrove forests buffer coastlines against erosion and absorb the force of storm surges. And yet, for decades, they have been cleared at alarming rates to make way for shrimp farms and coastal development, often in the very regions most dependent on the protection they provide. Baobab trees. There is no tree quite like a baobab, and when you see one for the first time, you understand why local legends describe them as trees planted upside down. The thick, almost limbless trunk topped by a tangle of branches that really do look like roots reaching into the sky. Native to parts of Africa, Madagascar, and Australia, baobabs can store tens of thousands of liters of water inside their spongy trunks, a reserve that carries them through dry seasons that would kill most other species. Some of these trees have been alive for over 2,000 years, making them quiet witnesses to an enormous stretch of human history. Every part of the tree has a use: bark for rope and cloth, leaves for food, fruit pulp for nutrition, roots for dye. And that is the first half of every major tree type on Earth. 10 down, and there are still some genuinely fascinating ones ahead, including a tree that helped build the modern world, one that has a relationship with wasps going back 80 million years, and the largest living thing on the planet. Part 2 is coming soon.